to dive right in. This conversation is focused on financial markets, and today in conversation I have Vaibhav Gupta with us. He's WQC Gold level and IQC Global Rank 1, representing India at such an international level. I was pretty sure that his experiences are stacked with a lot of knowledge that will help you all who are starting up in the financial markets or who are already into financial markets. Now, financial markets had a lot of domains: stock markets, the derivatives market, the cryptocurrency market. This conversation today is focused on quantitative research part, and for those of you who don't know, World Quant is a American investment hedge fund, and it hosts something called World Quant Brain, where people create alphas. Alphas will be clear to you as you listen to this conversation, and it will be really helpful for folks who are already into financial markets, and for those who are just starting up, do not feel overwhelmed. Listen to this carefully. He has really explained everything from scratch. It will be clear to you as you listen to it, and it will be helpful for you to listen to this conversation. Yeah, so hi everyone. Today I have Vaibhav Gupta with me on the Wdym podcast. I just randomly popped up his profile on LinkedIn, and he has so much to say about himself, and we have so much to learn from him. He's an IQC winner 2023 and WQC gold level, and he's also studying in IIT Delhi right now. So he has a lot to say. Let's just hear from him what he has to say about himself first. So, hi Weber, how are you?
Thanks Sneha for the introduction. I'm as Sneha said, I'm Vaibhav Gupta. So I'm in my final year of IIT Delhi, and so I started with the quantitative research as my passion. So I started in my first and second year, exploring a lot of regional competitions and learning about things because I was into markets. So quantitative research was the thing to have a systematic phase to that. So I started with that, and a lot of data that is present in the financial markets excited me a lot. So apart from the price volume data set, I got a lot of exposure to options data set, volatility data set. So into it. So in my first and second year, I was into algo based trading and stuff. So I participated in a few regional competitions and got exposure into that. And after that, when WorldQuant introduced, so WorldQuant collaborated with chess.com, so I got excited because I love chess. So then after the IQC, so my IQC started in March of 2023. So I participated into that. So the stage 1, stage 2, so there are 3 stages. So I get into stage 1. So now what is alpha? Alpha is a mathematical model that is long short neutral. And what is long short neutral? Long short neutral is you are not only investing in buying a stock or maybe selling a stock. So you are having an equal capital in both the sides. So equal capital of long is buying, and equal capital of short. So if let's say for an industry, you have big positive competitors in that industry, and maybe you have less competitive. So let's say if you have an alpha of giving more weights or buying more of that, you can say the large section of that competitor, then you buy that long those components, and then for the remaining, which are weaker in terms of the competition and may not survive in the future, so then you are short that. So then you have equal exposure. So if you have let's say $1 million, so 0.5 will go in long approximately, and 0.5 will go in short. So that's why you are able to extract profit because of that arbitrage, and not the exactly if the market is not moving, then also you are able to generate PNL. So PNL is profit and loss. So this was the alpha. Then we started building alphas. We build alphas on because initially we only have exposure to price volume data set. So that is the first derivative of the data set that you can easily get from any market, because that is the daily candlestick data set. If it associated with WorldQuant is WorldQuant has a huge amount of data. So then they provided us second, third, and a lot of complex data set that cannot be derived outside the firm. So then IQC, we got exposure to sentiment data sets, analyst data sets, then there is option data set, volatility data sets, and all those data sets that can be if you think of an hypothesis that I need to research on that alpha signal, so then you are able to quantify it in terms of the data. So even if you have sentiment like if the stock, let's say on a Twitter platform or any social media platform, if you want to quantify that, how much this stock is talked a lot about in social media, may it is in a positive way, may it in a negative way. So then we build alphas on that as well. So apart from the stage 1, so then we entered to stage 2, and then stage 2 we learned a lot about diversification, because if a strategy crafted but it is not working in the outsample testing. So outsample testing is the time period that is not included while generating that alpha. So that is the real test of that strategy, because if that signal is not working in the outsample, then what's the point of having that cell? So then the benefit of diversification, because OS is the thing that you can't predict. So if you include a lot of signals, so then or you automatically diversify or hedge your risks on having a bad outsample testing. So then we put a lot of importance to that, and and of course we got the so IQC run it like, so you have a portfolio, and then with that alpha you need to enhance that portfolio performance. So that is called merged performance. So apart from optimizing on the returns, so usually what we think is returns are the most important thing to think upon. So but it is there are a lot of parameters, but if I wanted to discuss few, so there is Sharpe ratio. So if you don't know Sharpe ratio is the volatility of the PNL. PNL is profit and loss. So how much fluctuation you are having in your profit and loss curve. So that is the thing that is the thing you need to optimize. Even you are beating S&P or maybe any other market index for that matter, but if you are not getting a good Sharpe, then you won't be getting a confidence, because even if you have think it works in backtest, but it won't work in let's say if you are on the drawdown. So if there is a lot of drawdown, so then you should have a confidence that it will revive its trend. So that is the point that is important. So Sharpe is important. Then you also need to see the maximum drawdown in the time period you are testing. So usually in IQC it's 5 year, but so when you become a research consultant in World Quant, so then you will also be given a time period of 10 years. So then you are able to see what is the drawdown. So and then you are able to match up your optimization key if the drawdown is 2. So it's usually IC is, so return upon drawdown should be more than 1.5, and if it's 2, it's pretty good. So that is the thing that I wanted to see, that returns should outperform the drawdown. Otherwise I'm not that confident in that strategy. Or maybe the strategy idea is good, but I need to optimize on why some drawdowns are occurring. Maybe I'm not able to catch that let's say a data set is performing in a four-way process. So if let's say it's on the very high stage, and if it's on the medium scale, so if it's working for fine and I'm only catering to that conditions, so I should cater the lower condition as well. If the data set is very noisy and is not giving any signal, so what should I do in that time as well? So then you can improve on drawdown as well, and then there's a lot of things. So apart from that, then you can have a combined function on all these parameters: returns, Sharpe, drawdown, margin, and then you can call it as fitness. So they have provided a function called fitness that will be a function of all these things, so that you can see the overall improvement of that strategy. So that was the thing. In stage 2 we build more, and then more signals, and then in stage 2.2, so it was the national finals, and then we presented our few ideas, and then we had some questionnaires, and our outsample testing was decent, and then we got a chance to represent India at the global finals. So then we ranked 1 in national finals, and then we went to Bahamas for the global finals. So that was the next period. So that started in August and ended in December. So the first 10 days I was in Bahamas for the global finals, and the process same, all the regions and all the countries. So every national finalists, so the first rank of all the countries were invited to visit Bahamas for the global finals. So then I was able to get exposure to meet the great staff. So World Quant has a lot of experienced guys. They are well versed in a very specialized area. So then I fortunately I got to meet everyone, because that was the global summit. and everyone from WorldCon visited that place. So then spending 10 days there, getting a lot of exposure, and of course, fortunately, so our judges was the C-suite of WorldCon. So all the C-suite was present to judge us, and then fortunately we got the global winner tag, and then after the global finals, and then I continued as a research consultant, and then I also initiated new process because I love a lot of data, because it's a finance, the domain finance has a lot of data. But apart from finance, I was also involved in some research project, so that it was in stealth stage. So then I got into 3D meshes and a lot of machine learning, and because I wanted to do apply the same thing that I learned in other fields to apart from finance and what I was doing earlier. So I continued with that. So yeah, this was the thing, and yeah, we learned a lot. So
That's
yes, yeah, you go, yeah. So so that was my experience of IQC, and then yeah, I'm still exploring what can be do, because after spending 9 months into the IQC, I got that I'm still on the tip of the iceberg, and there's a lot of things to explore, and yeah, so on the path of that.
Yeah, that's actually great to hear. Represented India on such an international level. So much into finance and the quantitative research. Actually, I wanted to learn about alphas from you because I'm also into that stage. So you already did that. Thank you so much.
Alphas, if you want me to introduce how to build alphas, right?
Yeah, if you can elaborate on that, that
Okay,
would be good.
sure. So alpha. So what was my strategy? So I usually follow two way of alpha making. So if I already have an idea, because let's say I got an instinct that this ratio I should penalize a company based on this ratio, or maybe with this the difference between these two data set should give a signal. So if I already have the data set, so if I already have the idea, and then I think of what are the available data set that can be used while making that idea. So then because I already have a trading logic, and then I find data set, and then making a lot of implementation, and then optimizing on the results. Because even if you have a trend, so you can check that if your idea is on the right scale, then your PNL graph would be in the right direction. So it would have least noise. Of course, you need to fit on the parameters as well, because otherwise you're not able to submit it, because that is noise. So you need to remove some noise. So that was one thing, and I'll elaborate on that, how I optimize these strategies. But the second way is when you don't have an idea. So this is the state that we usually face. Getting a fresh idea every day is quite tough. So then thinking of the data set. So if you have a lot of data set, pick few data set or maybe a data category, and then think how you can logically trade in the market with that data set. So if this data set is there, so let's read about the description, or maybe search on internet that what these data set are, search on the research papers it has, and then how it is directly affecting the price of a company. So then finding a logical trade to trade with that data set, and then the same process if you got that idea, and then you implement that. So that was the two way I used to follow. And for optimizing, because even if you have an idea, it will be directional. If it's a fruitful results, if it's a fruitful idea, then it will have a directional movement in the market. But it will have a noise because you haven't put any conditions, because you are just trading, so the turnover would be very high. Because if you're using a data set that changes value every day, so then if just an expression would have a pretty high turnover, because you are changing position every day. To avoid that, try capping certain situation, that when will you execute that idea that you had. If let's say maybe using any transformation operator, or maybe any operator, so you can uh, hum that into a particular time period, that if you are happening, if this event is happening, then you are only able to execute this alpha, or otherwise you are continuing with your positions and not changing it. So this is the thing that I usually follow, because if you have a pretty high turnover, yeah, and even if you have a decent return, so then it will be wiped out because turnover is associated with the transaction cost of that alpha. So if the turnover is pretty high, so then after cost performance or even so that alpha won't be exactly be very helpful in the return generation or sharp generation, because then all the profit and loss you have generated will be scummed into the transaction cost. So what I maintain is usually the turnover and the return should be on the similar side, in the sense ki turnover, if the turnover is less, I can expect less return, but if the turnover is pretty high so I should have a significant return as well as sharp as well. So sharp usually grows with turnover is what I felt.
Yeah, actually the turnover is not the main problem. Most of the folks face problem in the sharp function. The ones who have interacted with, that sharp doesn't come out great because only that's the problem in the end. The alpha goes great, everything's good. The sharp function creates the problem in the end.
Yeah, so the sharp is directly proportional to your idea, because if your idea has a noise, then the sharp would be maybe less than 1 or maybe 0.5. So then that means that you need to work on idea. So initially what happens is, if you have a great idea, then sharp is not a problem. You usually get a sharp of a great threshold, so maybe 1.5 or 2. But if you don't have a great idea, so then sharp is a problem, in the sense ki your idea need to have some refinement. So initially what I felt was, if my idea is correct, my sharp is good, now I have to optimize on other things. So maybe fitness is an issue because I am not getting enough returns. So what you can do to optimize on returns is usually keep decay on a lower number. So maybe a single digit number is the most recommended range. Try to be closer to 0, or maybe of course depending on the idea. So if you need to boost your idea, boost your return, so then you need to keep your decay to a lower threshold. So what is decay? If your audience won't know, so decay is the basically you are softening the curve of the data. So if the alpha is quite fluctuating, so then you are averaging out to a particular decay. Of course it's not a uniform averaging, but it's exponential averaging, and then you are feeding that alpha value. So then if you keep your decay low, so then your alpha would be purely based on that alpha value of that particular day. So that's why you can boost your returns, and automatically it will improve your fitness. But if your sharp is low, that means you need to see more data set, or maybe if the data set is not complete, so maybe you can use TS backfill as one of the operator to keep ahead of data. Maybe because data is a stream, so it is given, let's say it is provided to you every day for the last 10 years, but there can be some fluctuation, in the sense that data is not visible for few days. So then your alpha value will change drastically on that particular day, because you don't have available data set. And it's a very common thing happening with the alpha making, because data every single day. So then what usually is the practice, you can use a time series backfill operation. So this is, if you don't have a data for a particular dates or maybe a particular time period, then your data is backfilled on a particular time period, in the sense that if you don't have a data and you have a data and you have a data, so then you fill that gap with those averages. So there are a lot of operators. So there is group backfill as well, and there is time series backfill. So then you can use, and then you can see there is an improvement in sharp, because then those immediate fluctuation in alpha value won't affect your sharp, because sharp is directly proportional to the PNL. So if the data is not available, then you can expect a very huge drawdown. So that is the thing.
Okay. Correct. Apart from just researching on the web about ideas and everything, was it just hidden trial that took you this far?
No, so initially you have to start with the alpha examples, because you don't know how to convert an idea into their syntax, because the syntax is not general Python, so they have even wrapped it into fast expressions, so that you just need to write the logic. So initially we practiced on the hypothesis, because we have an hypothesis and we have syntax. So then we see what the similar thing, so the similar implementation can be applied on other data set as well. So the stage 1 usually got consumed into that. So we explored alpha hypothesis in the example, and then we got some courage to explore other research papers as well. So then we read about so then we hooked up with the option data set. So then we build a lot of alphas on options as well, and then on sentiment. So then in stage 2 we usually went away from the price volume that we were doing in stage 1. So of course, getting a new idea apart from the example is the first learning point in IQC. So what we did is the community section that we had. Yeah, so the community section we had, we got to read a lot of things there, because usually there is a lot of research paper link that is available, or maybe Worldcoin has provided, read them. And then we got a hack, in the sense ki think of a data set, think of a data field, and then see how to logically trade with that, or how to logically position based a stock. So maybe you can directly see, in the sense ki a data field is how a data field is affecting that stock. If let's say it's let's say a dividend declaration, in the sense ki how much dividend usually was expected by analyst, but how was the actual dividend was declared. So then you can see the delta. So if there is a surprise in the market, then usually there is a movement. So if it's a positive surprise, maybe it's a uprise, or maybe if the surprise is, in the sense, in the negative way, then it is usually a short position. So then you can see on the surprise as well. Okay, if the data set is based on surprise, then you should have a framework, in the sense ki trade when, if this is a surprise, then you should do this, or maybe a correlation with some other signal. So if let's say you have this drawdown and you have a signal, and then you have another signal, and then see if these two signals are highly correlated, then I would have a pretty high position. So there is some operators like TS core, so core is correlation, and maybe some cross sectional core correlation. So then you see, if there are two signals, if they are not good maybe independently, then you have a correlation of both the signals. If they are highly correlated, then you are giving a huge position, and if they are not very hugely correlated, then you are not giving a good position. So their alpha value should be low. So that is the operator that you can use. So there are a lot of things that you can learn while experimenting. So yeah, it starts with experiments.
Yeah, that's actually the learning part after the examples and everything, that we start actual journey, and उसके बाद ही actual start होगा सब कुछ.
Yes.
And now coming apart from this world quant thing, how was the journey childhood?
Yeah, so I'm born and brought up in Delhi. So I was interested into mathematics, and then after of course initially 10 years I loved mathematics, and then of course then the science is the factor that usually took up, because initially the science is not the most interesting part to me. Then after 9th and 10th I got hooked with science, a lot of experimental things. So I was involved in a lot of experimental clubs of my school, and then of course reading a lot externally apart from my school. And then I thought, if I have to do it in the long term, then engineering is one option that I should took up. So then I took engineering, and then I prepared for JEE for 3 years, and then I got into IIT Delhi fortunately, and then got exposure to a lot of things. So of course I was into mathematics, but I don't know what mathematics is that can be directly used in other domains as well. So that finance was the first thing that I got to know, that because a lot of mathematics involved, so I got hooked to finance. So then I got a habit of reading a lot of balance sheets of the company. So there is a lot of websites, so I'm not sure if I can name them. So there is screener.in, so then you can mention you can read a lot about companies balance sheets, annual results. It is available in a pretty organized way, so then you can go through that. And I gone through them very well. So I got a good predictive I'm able to say, if let's say these are the things, then I can say if this is a good investment or not. So then I also invested my family, in a sense ki my mother gave me some money, so I invested that as well. And then I got to learn a lot more things, because now there is a skin in game. So then I got hooked to it, so I got to read a lot, and then I read about the company, their previous 10 years record, maybe the initial 5 years, and apart from the last 5 years, and then I'll see what are the ratios that are improving, maybe the price to debt ratio, or maybe other ratios that I explored and that was not available in the market. And then I was able to invest money, and then I got into this. So of course it was very unstructured, but then after I got into competitions and maybe getting some courses related to that, I got a structured way of learning, because initially I was learning by hit and trial, in the sense that this was working because I got to know, but it is a theory which I didn't know earlier, because it's already available globally. So then I should read them in the way that it is crafted. So then I got the habit of reading a lot of research paper and research that is drafted by a few researchers in this industry, and then got experience in research projects in healthcare, then some. So it's a lot of stealth right now. So it's based on healthcare, and the meshes that I need to use. The mesh is a 3D mesh, so there's a lot of vertices, and then how these vertices are connected as a graph. So then I got into algorithms as well. I love algorithms, so then that was the problem statement that I got hooked with. So then we built that product, and it's still in the development stage. So I'm not able to discuss it completely. So apart from that, apart from the academics, I got into the placement and training cell of IIT Delhi, and then I started with being a volunteer in first year, because whatever thing excites me, I get into it, and then I have no ego in the sense that I learn everything, and because I don't have any ego, I can ask everybody in that body to give me maybe a tips, or maybe give me a knowledge on that particular step. So then I joined as a volunteer, and then I was promoted to so I jumped to that hierarchy. So this is the main ideology I followed. So never keep any ego, and then just learn from those who have already spent a huge amount of time in that industry or maybe in that domain, and thus try to approach them, in the sense ki if they are at a certain 100 level, try to, if you are still at 50, try to approach them, and then you can still end up in at 80 or 90. So that was my ideology, and I think I should follow, and I will follow it later on as well.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. Following one's excitement is the mere path to, do something well in life. And you do all of this apart from the degree going on in IIT,
Yes,
right?
yes.
How do you get so much?
uh, no, but of course, if you are hooked with a particular thing, then automatically you need to spend time to build that thing, because initially it was tough to manage all the degree as well as the my finals instinct and my other projects. But then if I'm interested, then I was able to take time. Of course, if the things which does not interest me at all, then it usually get clamp out very easily. But though those things which interest me a lot, so then I'm able to get time for them. So that was the thing, and hopefully it is working. Of course, sometimes it's very stressful, in the sense you have a lot more deadlines. So the deadline is not sense that someone is expecting from me, but I have kept deadline for me, for myself, that I need to do this by this weekend, or maybe I need to explore this domain by this month. So then there's a lot of time constraint you feel, but then of course it feels great when you are able to manage a lot of things, and then you are able to good decent in all of them, then it's another plus. So that is the thing I usually fortunate that it is working fine for me, and hopefully for the next years, for coming years as well.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, we can all learn balancing from you. Just following excitement, and that
Of course,
doesn't feel like a
I'm
burden
also
or
on the
anything
stage
like
of
that.
learning the balancing, because even if there are some days of frustration, when I feel that if I have worked for 2 years for this, and I should be able to cover up this time period. So I'm still on the learning stage because a lot of things. I think there are great people out there that are able to manage their time pretty well, and then maybe Elon Musk is one example, that all the companies he has in his portfolio, then he are able to give time to all the companies, and then outshining all of them in their individual sectors. So yeah, it's a lot of people to follow.
So, do you also look up your future as you probably building something, building up a startup in India or something like that?
Yes, so I am hooked up building of my own. So building in the sense that I should get the ownership of what I do. So in WorldCon as well, I got hooked up because anything I do, it directly affects the profit of the company, or maybe directly affect the PNL of my strategy. So that's why I hooked up with WorldCon. So if I be doing a world startup, in the sense if my project I'm currently involved in, and then it got into a product stage, and then we are able to sell it. So I'm very hooked up to all this, because I love ownership, and then whatever I do, so I should be responsible for that, and I take that responsibility with full pride. so I see myself as
That's
doing all
great.
these.
Are you also into building something with all of this?
Yes, so I have some few projects going on, so maybe it is continuing with those and then see how it will work out in the future. Yeah, I have few projects so that are in stealth mode.
Okay. With everything that's good.
Always motivated to see if I have worked hard and the results would be great, because if you have put in the effort and you are building a product or maybe building anything, maybe alpha in terms of IQC, if you are building it with full passion, then you feel that the results will reap out, and this is the only way I am able to keep up my motivation, because then if you know the results, then it is not exciting. But if you are confident that you have worked hard and the result would be aligning to your expectation, then that gives another step up motivation. So that is the thing that I work on. Of course, sometimes things don't work on, maybe I'm not able to do great in, let's say, my activities I'm involved, or maybe I'm able to do good in academics, but not maybe lagging in few of the field I'm working on. So then there's always a trade-off, but I try to manage that I should outperform in all the things I'm involved in.
Yeah. Apart from all of this, have you been keeping yourself updated on the AI revolution that's happening?
Yes, so so AI revolution in the sense that it was, yeah, of course, it was on the drive from since mid 2015 or maybe 2012, but then it, after the language models came, so then it got introduced to the general public as well. So then of course there's a fear that if everything is can be done with AI, so then what is the need of the human? So but it is not the case, because I feel that AI gives you speed, because whatever you think you can, so the thinking part you can do, and then the general work you can give it to an automation system that you have built, or maybe an AI. So even if you are, when you become a consultant at WorldCon, after you are able to build an alpha or you build a signal, and then you can optimize based on any automated, so that you don't spend a lot of time doing the grid. So use AI in the right way. Of course, learning these technology will help you pump up. So let's say the projects I am working in, so that was in stealth mode. So that work highly using a lot of AI models, and then pipelining it into a certain way that the raw input, we can get an output that is highly valuable to the industry we are building that product on. So I'm full support in the sense that if AI is there, you should learn that, and then think how you can optimize your daily work with that.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, in this tech revolution that's happening, everybody should keep themselves updated on AI
Yeah.
and not fear that
Yes.
AI is going to take away any job. It's all about, learning AI and integrating that into your work.
Sense ki you should not fear of AI. You should think how you can implement AI in your daily job, or maybe you can build something out of AI, so that everyone is doing right now. Of course, it's not just about fine tuning in the sense that you already have GPT models and then you fine tune and then you see that you have built something in AI. So it's usually on the core part, that from scratch if you build something on AI, so then it is very fruitful in the sense in terms of the evaluation you will get as a product, or maybe the feeling you will get as, in terms of the from scratch building a fine tuning model. So then you can think of how you can learn from core. So that would be my feedback. You learn from core, not just the wrapper classes and AI, and then just because that you have learned AI. This is the thing that I would suggest.
Yeah, that's great. It was a great conversation with you. I've never seen someone being so open and being so, you know, you taught everything from scratch and explained everything from scratch. It was honestly very clear to the audience and evident to me too. And thank you so much for all the learning that you have given. The excitement part actually, is something that's the main thing that I learned from you. Follow your excitement and you're gonna do great in life because that doesn't feel like a burden at all.
If it is feeling like a burden, then you are able
Yeah.
to avoid that, and you see if you get the results, then you can laugh on that burdens you were facing 1 year back. So this is the ideology I face, and I want to do the same ideology for the next decades coming. So yeah, this is the thing that I follow.
This conversation was helpful for the folks who are just starting up or who are already into this field. He's evidently explained everything from scratch. Yes, thank you so much for listening, and to keep learning in the future, keep tuning in the Wdym podcast. See you next time.